he doesn't. He just walks around like oblivious to a care in life, right?
And again,
it's not like he's got a thrilling personality.
Yeah, and like Jordan Rodgers was on that team that won 9 games with James Franklin, but no Vanderbilt quarterbacks really accomplished a whole lot while they were there.
No. So you look at like this is a guy that's got swagger. He's got personality. He's saying, you know what? We ain't the old Vandy. Come get some.
Sure.
And I think that's great for a place that has look. The worst thing, the toughest thing to do in sports is get the stink of losing out of your culture.
Of course.
When you've had it for a long time, losing just comes in, sits down, breaks open some food,
puts its feet
up, and by the way, takes over your bedroom. All of a sudden, you can't put anything in your refrigerator because losing has filled the refrigerator.
Yep.
Losing takes over the house.
Yes.
And
it starts inviting its friends.
Yes, exactly. Ready? Frustration, bad luck. So you need a guy like this to help break your voodoo curse.
Yes, absolutely.
A guy that walks in and says, screw this. We're not going to be this anymore. We've changed now.
And again, we got the Alabama game up here on the TV. That's what stuck out to me in watching that game and watching Vanderbilt last year. You could see they believed that they could win that game. It wasn't like, oh, my God, we're beating Alabama. Like, no, they went into that game. They got off the bus expecting to beat Alabama, and they did. That's something Vanderbilt's not had in a very long time. They can say they've had that, but you can see it in people. You can see a confidence in a football team that they had last year.
Right. It transformed everything. And I think, when you got a guy like that, it can help turn everybody's mindset. Because once you beat Alabama, to your point, all that stuff Pavia's talking, because those guys in the locker room.
Yeah, like, okay. Yeah. Does he know where we're at? Does he know what name's on the front of the jersey?
Dude, you play for Vanderbilt, right?
Didn't we just lose to Georgia State?
Right. And that's the thing. This guy is oblivious to all of it. He goes, yeah, that's before I got here, dude.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Yeah, you're a winner now.
Yeah, you don't understand. The Pavia is here.
Yeah. And then after the game, we're like,
wow.
Okay, maybe he's onto something.
And now you believe.
Sure.
And so I think it's just it's such a fantastic thing that this program that's been kicked upside the head forever, except for that small time with Franklin.
Yeah.
Has got this guy, and he's brash about Vanderbilt.
It's the scrawny kid that's been picked on his entire life that hits puberty over the summer, comes back 6 inches taller, has a lot of muscle, and starts throwing other kids in lockers.
Exactly. And that's who Diego Pavia, at least in the short term,
made yes.
Vanderbilt.
Yes.
So honestly, I love this.
I do too.
I love this Diego Pavia thing.
We have a character.
Yes,
we have
do.
A personality in football to follow.
Who has circled the South Carolina game at Willie B as his game.
Yes.
He wants to bring something. Well, we'll see, man. We'll see what you got. All right. Halftime show. Just in case you just woke up, Dave Adair might have another girl to the list. We'll get to that next on the halftime show. Terry Ford, Tyler Head, Dave Adair on the game. All right, just in case you just woke up here on the game, our headline is David Dare might have something going on here.
Well, he's got a couple somethings
This
going
is
on
like,
here. We just learned about Bridge Girl a few minutes ago.
I know, we didn't even know about Bridge Girl. We were working on New Girl.
Yeah.
And then we got Bridge Girl to go with Bus Girl.
Yeah, Golden Corral Bus Girl.
So you got Golden Corral Bus Girl. Then you walk into the studio during the break, our first commercial break of the show, and Dave has this Larkin Poe shirt on. I go, Dave, nice shirt. And he tells this story. Who gave you the shirt?
No, I bought the shirt.
I thought.
But he got complimented on the shirt. Yeah.
Who complimented you?
The person that I saw this morning.
Yeah, basically one of your 700 medical people.
Yeah, I have a ton of them.
Because Dave has a medical. Dave has a hospital that takes care of him.
Dave's dating pool is all the women that evaluate him for his various medical needs.
Various issues. So one of your medical staff,
yes,
your posse, your entourage of medical people complimented you on your shirt and talked to you about all that stuff. And so we're thinking that might be an opening for you.
Well, then I started showing them videos. You know, here I was at the concert. See how close I was.
See, now you come off as a stalker, creeper, weirdo, Dave. That's not the way to. That's not a way to get a girl to.
No, Dave. This is the point where you make yourself a part of the band.
Yeah, you're
right?
not.
You are a road agent. You're something along. You're somebody that works in production with the band. Where's the lights? Or you're a part of the show, Dave. You're not just a fan. You're a part of it.
I want to be the guy who tapes down the playlist on the stage for all the people in the band.
Director of on-stage performance.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
And-
It's a guy that tapes the list doesn't sound as cool.
Concert coordinator.
Concert coordinator. There we go. You are the concert coordinator for Larkin
And you don't
Poe.
call them Larkin Poe. You call them by their first names.
Megan and Rebecca.
And then you go like this. Oh, my fault. Larkin Poe. I just know them by their first names. I'm sorry.
Yes.
This takes you out of creeper bucket and puts you into player bucket.
Hey, I haven't. Let me write this down.
And also start wearing sunglasses indoors.
Yeah.
That'll just take you to a different level.
And Reddy, when you do take the sunglasses off, put them on the back of your neck.
Well, I got
like Guy Fieri.
I got a compliment. I think it's a compliment the other day at the dentist office. From a woman.
Uh-oh.
She said, those sunglasses, you got those on Amazon, right?
All right.
2 for 1. Wow.
Dentist girl.
Dentist girl. We've got dentist girl, bus Golden Corral girl. We've got medical girl, and we've got what was the bridge girl? We gotta get the bridge girl.
What's bridge girl? Tell us about this.
So yesterday, I'm gonna go home. And I drove. I didn't do what I normally do. So I saw this girl on the bridge because I live right by Gills Creek.
Okay.
And she's standing there looking over the bridge. So I'm like, oh, why the day am I riding a car? So I hurry home, park the car, get out, walk as fast as I can down to the bridge, of course.
Yeah, move that fast in a while, have you?
No. And I, of course, said, there's coyotes and alligators there.
Good icebreaker.
Yeah.
Nice job by you.
And then don't forget the redheaded girl that I saw walking.
Well, let's just
We're losing count, man.
Well, let's concentrate on Bridge Girl for a minute because this is really spiraling out of control. I like the idea you put fear in her because now you can be her protector.
Yeah, now you can save the day.
That was my thought. Yeah, definitely.
Good move by you.
You started the fire. Now you can put it out.
Exactly. Now, real quick, who was walking girl? A redhead girl, red hair girl. Where'd that come
from? She was
from?
walking on. There's a sidewalk where I walk all the time.
Now, is she the same as Bridge Girl?
She might have been. It's hard to say.
Okay, so right now she's redhead girl.
Now he's losing count.
So am I. I'm totally lost.
Well, there's 3 redheads, and I can't tell if they're
now we got multiple redheads. Tyler.
Can we set a commitment date? I'm saying we're gonna get hats on a table.
Save the day.
And we're gonna have Dave announce his choice essentially.
But don't you have to go through official visits still, Dave, and unofficial visits and all those things?
By the way, Dave, so the coyotes and alligators thing, that's a good line. What is your cheesiest pickup line? Because I have one for you if you need it.
Oh, well, give it to me.
How much does a polar bear weigh?
How much?
Enough to break the ice. How you doing?
Oh,
Did I use
guy.
that back in high school?
You did.
Maybe.
God, I
Did it
hope
work?
not.
No.
I really hope not. I remember when I was doing morning radio, and we got one of these stupid lists of worst pickup lines and everything. There was two I remember. One was, "Wow, you like long legs. If a girl has long legs, you have more legs than a bucket of chicken." There's a good one.
Oh.
Your parking ticket, you got fine written all over you.
Yeah. And here's the other one. Ready? "Those jeans look good on you. They look even better on my bedroom floor." There you go, Dave.
That's bold.
That's going too far on the first meeting. I'll wait till
Dave's a gentleman. You got to remember this.
That's right.
Wait till the second date for that.
All right, Dave. So, in closing, before we actually move on to the real sports at some point, you've got, just to make sure, we've got Bus Golden Corral girl,
Yes.
medical girl,
Yes.
redhead girl,
Yes.
Dentist girl.
dentist girl,
This girl.
bridge girl.
5?
Yeah, well, I don't know about the redhead that I said, look out for copperheads over there.
All
And
right.
she said,
So-
oh, like my hair.
So if we're going to go crystal ball prediction here, what's our lean?
That I'll end up lonely and that's
No one.
Dave, you got to commit somewhere.
Yeah. The trouble is, I'm ready to commit. They don't even.
You know what?
my
I'm
name.
gonna go Steve Wiltfong here. I'm gonna go 80% crystal ball, dentist girl.
Really? Because
Yeah.
I was thinking that, Golden Corral bus girl, it seems like they're building a relationship.
Maybe.
Well, she hasn't ridden the bus after that.
Oh,
day.
Oh, well,
I haven't
that's
seen her
tough.
since.
Second thought.
She's so enamored she doesn't know what to say.
Right.
Yeah, that's it. She's
Exactly.
shy. She's very shy.
She's taking 4 buses now to get somewhere.
You see her on another bus going in another direction.
I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Hey.
Oh,
man.
anyway.
You know what? We've got our new podcasting set up out here.
Mm-hmm.
We need the Dave Show.
Absolutely.
We will just give you a microphone. We'll turn it on, and you can tell us everything going on because you are the most interesting person
Ready?
I think I've ever met.
A day in Dave world.
A day in Dave world.
We
I
could
think
have
that's what we need to do.
Random women come in and reject me on the podcast.
I like it.
I love
You know what?
it's the opposite of a dating show.
Rejection show. Hey, we'll start with Bus Golden Corral girl. So, what did you think when Dave was talking to you on and on and on?
Yeah, and now Dave, in the least weird way possible, try and get them to come down here to sit in for the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
think
don't
that's
be
the next
like,
step.
I
hey.
can make you a TV star.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Don't
that's,
start off with that.
Yeah.
And hey, come to this discreet building at this allotted time and meet me there. That's probably not a good way to
After
start
hours.
It's not
either.
gonna work.
After hours.
that's a good idea, though. A good idea that you got to that thought. They're
Yeah.
like, wait, how about I just dial 911 right now? All right, Dave, we'll keep up with this. Fine work by you. Fine work. All right, also, just in case you just woke up, obviously, the Florida Panthers make it back-to-back in the Stanley Cup Finals. They beat Edmonton
They didn't make
again.
They didn't make last night too exciting, did they?
No, they pretty much slapped the fun out of that thing real early. Got up in the first period, 3-0.
Canada mourns once again.
Yes, they do. And now we slide the Stanley Cup playoffs off the plate. It is interesting, and just take a minute, that, hockey is like, I'm a hockey guy. I love hockey.
Sure.
I talk about it very rarely here because, again, in this market, 5 people care. And I know that, I get it. And we try to talk about things people care about. It is interesting that hockey, it's out of the 4 majors, it's really like the niche of all niche, right?
Sure.
Canadian game. But when you go to a hockey game, it's like
Crazy.
a NASCAR race.
It's crazy.
A hockey game is phenomenal.
Oh, those crowds for the finals last night down in Florida once again, absolutely nuts. Like it's a college football-esque type of atmosphere at the professional level.
And when you watch these guys now,
Yeah.
it's a shame because it is such a cool game to go to and watch live.
Sure.
It really is.
And who would have thought? State of Florida, the new dynasty of hockey.
Well, think about it. You got Florida, Tampa. Tampa won a couple in a row.
Yep.
All right, just in case you just woke up, we'll get our Firehouse Sub text the hour next, 803-404-6100 on the halftime show here on the game. Get our Firehouse Subtext the hour here at 803-404-6100 here in just a minute. Tomorrow we will not be here. We'll be celebrating Juneteenth. And then we'll be back on Friday. Early game, 6 to 9. Hanging out at Liberty on the Lake for a good cause. For LSC Camp Discovery. Also, Big Red Barn, Richland County Sheriff's Association.
I don't think Preston's getting back on the boat this year.
You don't think?
I think he said he did it once. That was enough for him. When you're in a, because like we've all been in cars that go fast. Like boats are one of those kind of things that, sure, moderate speed, but when you're in a boat that goes really, really fast,
It's flying,
and
man.
there's nothing between you and the air in front of you, that's a different kind of sensation.
I love boating. Boating's good.
It is. It's fun.
What are they going to do with the Big Red Barn? One of them getting married?
I've totally lost where we're at.
I don't know.
Well, what about the big-
That's not a question for us, Dave.
That's above our intelligence level, Dave.
That's where my stepdaughter got married.
At the Big Red Barn?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's charity.
Oh, okay.
It's charity.
Not a physical,
not an actual
big red barn.
Yeah, they're not.
Oh, I thought it was that place where. Okay. Okay. Bad. My bad. Y'all go ahead.
Thanks, Dave.
just asking.
I was like, where are we going with that? What was that?
Yeah,
Maybe Bill's checking out places to,
Looking for barns. Bill's out
Maybe
looking
so.
for barns.
it's barn shopping. I don't know.
Who is it? All right, anyway, 803-404-6100. What do you got there on the Firehouse Subtext line?
Nameless texter. I think Pavia has a Napoleon complex. Short guy with the big mouth.
I won't disagree. We've all known shorter people who have that complex where because they're shorter, they're in everybody's grill, they're yapping all the time.
Sure.
The Chihuahua complex.
Yeah.
It's just and I'll go pretty much 100% agree with the texter. I guarantee you that's what it is.
And
Sure.
again, does have the Alabama game. If they don't beat Alabama, but the rest of their season goes the way that it does.
6-6? Let's just say 6-6. Let's say they find a win somewhere.
Yeah, okay, sure. They find another win somewhere. Let's say they beat Georgia State.
Right, and then they lose to Bama.
And lose to Bama, by 2 touchdowns or whatever. Do we even talk about this guy?
No, not at all.
That one game holds so much weight.
Sure it does. That game holds a ton of weight. And because, remember, you win the game, the goalposts are going in the river, people are carrying the goalpost downtown Nashville.
Yep.
That thing was a national happening
Sure.
that Saturday night after Vandy got that W over Alabama.
This is the week after Alabama beat Georgia.
Yes.
In the classic, top dog showdown.
Mm-hmm. And then they show up in Nashville and they do something they've never done.
Exactly.
So, yes, to your point, you are correct. If Pavia and Vandy don't beat Bama and they still go 6-6, they would beat Georgia State instead, we're not having these conversations.
You know why Alabama lost that game, right? Caleb Ward wearing that T-shirt.
That was it. That's right. Don't wear that T-shirt. What happens?
Coach Saban wears polos on the sidelines. Get with it.
I got Coach Saban never lost to Vandy.
No, he didn't.
Just saying. What was funny about Alabama last year? Before the season started, this is great. This coaching staff, so media friendly. They're doing push-up contests with the players. Everybody's talking to everybody. Everybody's laughing. Everything's, and then you
Start losing.
lose some games.
What's wrong with this guy?
This guy's not Saban. You got to get more like Saban. What's wrong with you?
I don't want to hear players on podcasts.
No.
Let's win some games.
I don't even want players talking. We don't need all that. All right. Lots of football in the 1 o'clock hour. A little spring game special was on last night. We'll get to it next on the game. We run football and pretty much nothing but football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors here on the game. David Dare steering the ship. Tyler Heads here. Terry Ford, we go till 3. All right, so last night on the SEC Network, we got to see the South Carolina spring video.
Video, documentary, I don't really know what to call it exactly.
I mean, every team in the league is going to have one of these. And look, we kind of knew where it was going.
Sure.
Once we heard this is what was going to be going on. And when, Shane said, look, spring game's not going to be televised live, and we're going to have instead there's going to be a spring documentary video, whatever, that will come out in the off season. And we all knew, okay, we get it. You don't want to have anybody watching the game on TV, whatever, the enemy, the opponents. And then you're going to put out basically a hype video about your spring.
That's what it was.
But, I guess what surprised me the most, I didn't expect them to, be drawing up plays on the whiteboard for you. But I thought you'd get more actual spring football game.
That was the funny part to me because, again, this is taking the place of the spring game on TV. I counted 2 highlights from the actual plays that took place in the spring game over the course of 22, 23 minutes, however long it was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was the only snippets. Yeah. They made sure that nothing got out.
Right. And look, if you didn't see it yet, it's just like watching one of the South Carolina videos on social media.
Yeah. And really, it was kind of like 3 or 4 of them put together, right? Because they recapped the Clemson game. They showed the off-season workouts. They went behind the scenes with the Sellers and Kilgore family talking about the brothers, and then kind of went over spring practice as a whole. It was like 4 different videos.
Right, and it was just the idea of you got a little peek behind the curtain to a point, but, you didn't get anything of substance that an opponent could take and use against you.
I didn't learn anything
right.
relevant to the football field this year.
No, not at all. So, mission accomplished. I'm going to say this. I know there were people that were like, I'd rather have a spring game. I don't like this. I'm going to say this. I'm just, myself, happy that Shane is still doing the spring game. He could be Matt Rule with that ridiculousness. So Shane still had the spring game last year. Now, we'll see if that continues on because there's going to be renovations coming up.
Yep.
And hopefully in 2027, you'll see a spring game. Maybe they'll find a way to do it in 2026 somehow. I don't know. But, maybe out in the parking lot. I got no idea. But I don't want to see that go away.
Sure.
And for me, I just have that feeling for the fans. And I said this before. Well, the reason the Matt Rule thing just drives me, I'm not going to say insane, but just frustrates me, is that once again, fans are getting screwed.
Yeah, and Beamer's been very open about why he feels the spring game is important, and I feel like he's one of the coaches. If the spring games go away across the board, he'll be one of the last ones I feel like holding on to. Now, if it gets to the point where no other program's doing it, then okay, it probably goes away. But I think he's not going to be as quick to pull the trigger on that.
And I think that Shane understands the importance to the fan base. But here's what Shane also understands, the importance in recruiting. You bring prospective recruits to Willie B during a spring game with a 25, 30,000 in the stadium.
Yep.
And they get all the hype that comes with the spring game. I just believe that's a positive recruiting tool. And they're here that entire weekend.
Sure.
So trust me, part A is the fans and how much it matters to fans. But part B is how much it matters to your recruiting. It's a great tool. And so I get people not liking that thing last night because it was just like, like you said, 3-4 hype videos put together.
Yep.
But if the choice is this, have a spring game and that video or have no spring game, what do you take?
Yeah, I think everybody would take it. And again, it wasn't offensive or anything like that. And I don't think, I didn't go into it with any expectation, right? I wasn't like going to, I hope I see this, I hope I see that. I'm like, all right, I'm probably going to see some clips of them working out. I'm probably going to see something from spring ball or whatever, and maybe an interview. Like, they'll in documentaries, they intermix interviews throughout the entire time. I figured it'd be something like that. That's not exactly what happened. But again, I didn't go in there saying, oh, I really want to see this, really want to see that. I'm like, whatever they give me is whatever they give me.
Yeah, I get, look, coaches are so paranoid, massively to a point of crazy paranoid. And I really don't think having a spring game on TV and having your opposition watch your spring game is going to affect wins and losses when you play that opponent. I just don't. And I've had coaches who have told me it doesn't. So most of the stuff you're doing is so vanilla in a spring game anyway. And the idea that someone's going to watch a player in your spring game and then poach him in the transfer portal. Again, Matt Rule, give me all the players you lost that went off somewhere and played great. You want that list?
Yeah, the list is done.
It's done.
It also, when you kind of think about it, I'm like, this is almost kind of like if I was going to create a 20-minute video to show recruits when they come to visit, that would be it. Because you show yourself winning a huge game against a team that obviously made the playoff in Clemson. You know, you show that, hey, this isn't good enough, need to be better next year, and all that kind of stuff off the field, the brotherhood and talking about working together and being a team. And, you know, you have the Sellers and Kilgore parents talking about how much they love Carolina, what it means to their sons and all that kind of stuff. And then you have, obviously, looking ahead to the next season, like, it's the perfect recruiting video. If you really think about it, like, if I'm got the recruiting or the visitors coming up this weekend, I'm putting them all in a room, showing them those 22 minutes because that gives you everything you need to know about the program.
I'm running it through the complex.
Sure, it's constantly on
on
a loop on every TV and every locker or whatever it may be.
I'm running that thing on a loop.
Yes.
And that's the one thing I do. I give Shane and the football program credit because it's the assistants, it's Justin King, it's a lot of the people that are involved there. But Shane leads the program with the idea of the ABC. Always be recruiting. And that's what they do. Everything is being done with the aspect there's a recruiting component to it.
Sure.
And this video's got a recruiting component to it. The spring game's got a recruiting component. Us doing Pro Day has a recruiting component to it, and we're over there for Pro Day.
And I think Shane understands you're at a bit of a disadvantage here. When you're trying to go toe-to-toe with Alabama and Ohio State and Texas, they historically have more things than you that they can sell to recruits, whether that be obviously the championship accomplishments, obviously in today's world, NIL, and a lot of those other things. He knows he's fighting a bit of an uphill battle. Maybe it's not as big of an uphill battle as it once was, but it's still an uphill battle that if he is not giving 110%, then he's going to fall behind.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you've seen the fruits of the labor. We've seen some 5-stars come in. We've seen South Carolina win some recruiting battles that maybe in the past they don't win.
They beat Oregon for Nick Harbor.
Yeah. And Oregon's a track school.
Yes. And he's an aspiring Olympic track runner. That was impressive.
And you know, in Oregon, last time I checked, got a pretty good football program.
Yes.
So you found a way to get Nick Harbor away from Oregon. And you don't think about that for a minute. I wonder something. Follow me real quick. Because we know that South Carolina basically told Nick Harbor, run track.
Yes.
We will not stop you from exploring your dream of running track. And if you pick to do track a certain season instead of coming to spring practice, we don't care. We are serious about letting you do everything you want on the track.
Yes.
You think Oregon said that?
It's a good question. I would think since they were a finalist, probably, but I can't say that for sure.
I feel like this, and this is taking nothing away from how South Carolina recruited Nick. And I know that every one of these recruits that come in here to play for the Gamecocks talks about the culture and the family, and just the atmosphere is great, and it's so inviting. And I think all that's true. I'm not trying to poo-poo it. But I think with Harbor, I really believe that selling point that knocked it out of the park for Harbor is Beamer looked at him and said, I promise you, we will not try to stop you from running track.
And again, his decision to forego track this year was on him. It was not like, all right, man, it's time to focus on football. Let's put this little track thing aside. It's silly. Let's focus on the real thing. It was him that decided, hey, you know what? I'm coming along in football here. I really can't afford to sit out for the next 6 months running track. Let me focus on football this upcoming year. That was his decision.
I remember this, not an Olympic year.
No, not an Olympic year.
It's not an Olympic year at all.
He was
close far off, man,
to qualifying last year.
If this would have been an Olympic year, my guess is he would have ran track.
Probably, but it's like, okay, I got a little bit of time. And again, that Olympic aspiration is always going to be out there. And yeah, you have a window to nail that, so you can't be away from it for too long. But this year, especially considering the fact that, and he's not shy about that, when he was in with Wes on the Gamecock Central Hour a while back, or Gamecock Club Hour a while back, He was like, look, I realize I could be in the league next year. If I have a good enough year this season, I could get drafted in 2026. And again, you can figure out the track stuff with the Olympics and all that down the line, but you ball out this year, you can get drafted.
Right, and that's the thing with Harbor, because you've got obviously you've got athletic physical ability. If you go on a football field and translate that into football production, you move up higher on draft boards.
And again, talking about uphill battles, he came into college with very minimal experience as a wide receiver, working with and going up against guys that have been doing it for 10 plus years probably. So that's the process. And again, the first year, we didn't really expect a whole lot out of him. We wanted to see him start coming along in his second year, which he did in the back half of the season, kind of coinciding with Sellers and all that kind of stuff. Okay, keep that going, which again, if you suddenly took 6 months off and started running track again, we're saying, all right, well, now he's got to start back at this point. He's got to get back to this point. But now the hope is, and again, we've got to wait and see it on the field this fall, that he starts from where he ended last year and is leaps and bounds better as the season goes along.
But it just hit me as we were talking about the recruitment of Harbor. It was like, I feel like the thing that sealed the deal is South Carolina legitimately said to him, chase your track dream. We're not going to try to stop you. Because a lot of these schools will bring a guy in, let's say any dual athlete, and they'll bring that dual athlete in and go, yeah, man, you can play baseball. Sure, dude, go play lacrosse, whatever. But once you get in,
it becomes like, yeah, you can play, but you can't miss this. You can't miss that. Well, you got to we have workouts that day. You can't miss that, man. You got to start. You almost force them into making a choice, right? Like, you can play it, but
it's that passive aggressive.
Yes.
You can do this, but it's going to affect football.
Exactly.
But you can do it.
Yeah.
But it's going to put you behind on the depth chart.
By the way, you got a better chance at a football career than a baseball career, so think about it.
Right, but I think South Carolina legitimately said, you come here, we will not stand in the way of what you want to do on the track.
Yeah.
And then this year, and that's the thing too I think that's interesting about this, is they're letting him make his decisions, it feels like. Like he had a taste of success at the end of last year on the football field. And that's driven him to, man, if I can really throw myself into this not Olympic year next year, I throw myself into this thing like 110% and really grind and drive on it and learn how to do all these little intricacies that a wide receiver has to do and blah, blah, blah. I might get drafted.
Yeah.
Sky's the limit. But giving him the chance to have his ownership of what he does, he's making these decisions pretty much himself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's another recruiting tool. And you think this isn't going to go good for recruiting later? When Nick Harbor's out talking to other players or, prospective recruits or high school guys, he's going to be like, I'm going to tell you what, South Carolina, man, they made me a promise. They stuck with it.
Yeah.
And things of that nature matter.
Yeah, hey, you want to come play football and basketball? They can figure it out.
Yeah, and if you are a high-level guy in another sport and you're a five-star kid or a highly coveted kid, Shane has laid the groundwork. Like, if we can make this happen where we're all good, then, feel free to run and do your thing.
Absolutely.
All right, so that was last night. You can see it on demand, by the way. You go to ESPN Plus, scroll down, eventually you find the...
They'll probably upload it to the YouTube channel at some point.
And check out the South Carolina spring practice/spring game video. A lot of football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. We heard Diego Pavia circling the South Carolina game last hour. He's got something for another school, too. We'll get to more Diego Pavia from Bussin' with the Boys on that podcast. It's next here on the Halftime Show. Terry Ford, David Ayer, Tyler Head on the game. Talking a lot of football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors here on the game. Tyler Head, Terry Ford, David. Diego Pavia. Dave, get ready. We got a couple more Diego Pavia cuts we want to get to. He was on the podcast, Bussin' with the Boys. And we discussed in the first hour, Pavia saying he had the South Carolina game circled as the game he's really pointing at because we went over a variety of reasons. We think because Vanderbilt got smacked by South Carolina last year, Pavia got beat up by the Carolina defense. And 3, Pavia looks at Lenore Sellers' stats and say, wait a minute, I got some stats better than that guy, and he's getting all this hype and love.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yep, I get it.
So,
also, don't let him near the Gamecocks logo within a day before the game.
Exactly.
You know what he likes to do.
Yeah, he just, yeah, you got to go, right?
Yeah. By the way, if you listen to that whole podcast, he tells that story. It's actually pretty funny.
Again, from a leadership standpoint, if you're in that locker room and you're the quarterback and you're supposed to like the leader and you go do that, do you know who's yipping and jumping up and down?
Yeah.
Your teammates.
Absolutely.
Your teammates love you.
Especially to a rival.
Absolutely. Your teammates love you. So that's the thing about the leadership. That's the component Pavia brings.
And your coach like, don't do that again with a wink.
Yeah.
You're going to be in trouble.
Right. We don't do that here.
And good job.
Oh, the camera's out of the way?
Yeah.
Way to go, man. Fist bump.
I would have done the same thing.
Absolutely. So, at the end of the day, Pavia has, say what you want. He's not an NFL quarterback or anything like that. But when it comes to playing college football at the quarterback position, guy's a flat-out leader.
Yes.
He just really is. All right, here's Pavia. Going to that point, Diego just let it loose on this podcast. Let's get cut to, Dave. Pavia talking about what Vanderbilt's going to do in the state of Tennessee. Hit it.
Vanderbilt's going to run Tennessee after this year. Like, this is going to be the new staple of, like, college football is going to happen here at Vanderbilt.
Do any of you and the boys ever, like, talk about that? Like, we got to be the state school.
Well,
we're in Nashville, Tennessee. We're in the Music City. Like, we need to be the brand of Tennessee.
Everyone wants to come to Tennessee because of Nashville. So they want to come to Nashville, so Vanderbilt. And then when we have, like, the most money in NIL, like, why not come here? So, like, we literally just have to win this year and throughout the rest of the year. It'll take care of itself.
You think Vandy will have the most money in the game?
I think we'll be up there.
Yeah.
But, like, it's Nashville.
Yeah, there's a lot of big hitters around here.
Yeah.
They just need a team to believe in.
Yeah, that's all they need.
They need Diego Pavia.
All right, so one thing I want to get to, the idea of Vanderbilt being a better football program than Tennessee makes us all giggle, right?
Sure.
But here's the thing, one thing in that whole riff, and we've talked about it like in bits and pieces around here. The people who have graduated from Vanderbilt, a lot of them make a ton of money.
It's called the Harvard of the South for a reason.
And there are kids that go there whose families have a lot of money.
Yeah.
Mark Cuban's kid goes to Vandy.
That's right.
If Vanderbilt decided they had a meeting and they said, "Oh, Gold, you know what? Pass me some Grey Poupon. I think it's time for us to, what's this thing called, athletics?
Mm-hmm.
I think we should get serious about it and try to win. What do we say we take a lot of our financial resources and start to try to be serious about athletics?" If they decide to do that, the money Vanderbilt would have in NIL
Sure.
would be insane. To Diego Pavia's point.
Yeah. But again, their program's perennially been 6-6. And imagine a lot of those alumni are like, I could spend my money somewhere else.
Or the idea they just, the university itself doesn't care about sports.
Sure. Or they don't put as much in football as other schools
Yeah.
do.
I mean, they've been good in basketball in pockets.
Good in baseball.
Yeah, really good in baseball in pockets. Not in pockets. For a long time, they've been good in baseball.
Sure.
So if they ever decided, well, there are people that tell you they feel like Vandy in baseball hasn't been, and they've still been really good lately, but they've been coming down a tad bit,
Yeah, well,
and people think part of it could be NIL.
Got bounced as a top seed this year.
And so if Vanderbilt decides to throw money at athletics, think about what Vanderbilt athletics could be if you're really putting that kind of importance on it with the money that university has.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you have, I don't have the numbers in front of me, probably one of the richer alumni bases in all of Power 4 schools.
Yeah. So run that through your head. So when Pavia says some of that stuff, you go, yeah, dude, you're just puffing your chest. That's
It's not
cool.
impossible.
But when you start talking about the NIL,
And when you think, because I think this is the last year of eligibility in case, unless
you
wants
never
to
know.
sue the NCAA again, but like, they went 7-6 last year. They beat Alabama, obviously, got a lot of hype from that. If they follow that up with like an 8 or 9 win season this year, and you start to kind of change the perception of what that program is in this era, where if people start putting money towards you, can really change the perception of the program. He may not be there to see the like full-on success of it, but he could be kind of the catalyst for making it something different.
I was going to say, let's go with Vanderbilt. Not say it's a great year, but let's just say they're a little bit better than last year. Let's just say that for fun.
7,
I don't
8
think
wins.
they will be, but let's just say they win 7 games, 8 games. Obviously not the Carolina game, but let's say they pick up 7, 8 wins, whatever. And then all of a sudden, it does start. The ball gets rolling for money.
Sure.
We could circle back and say the win over Alabama was the catalyst for all this.
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, if they don't beat Alabama, and again, let's swap the Alabama and Georgia State game. Say they win that one and lose to Alabama, go 6-6. We're not talking about this guy. Nobody's paying this guy any attention.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. But that moment made him nationally relevant, and suddenly when Texas is playing Vanderbilt, you're like, what's going on here? 3-point game. When they're playing some of these other teams, you're interested in seeing what he can do.
Yeah. I mean, look, no one's sitting around going, wow, Vanderbilt's dangerous. No, a lot of us sit and go, okay, last year they were cute. They had their moments, but now they'll probably get back to being Vanderbilt.
And again, it's this phenomenon because they've been the doormat for so long. Again, everybody looks at their schedule and says, oh, Vandy, that's a win. Everybody does that. That's something that shouldn't happen in the SEC, but it's just been that way for so long. My entire life, Vanderbilt has always been the doormat. Yeah, again, like with Franklin, they had a couple good seasons there, but they've consistently been a bad to very bad program. And the fact that they pulled that off and they have this guy talking with his chest puffed out, it's very anti-Vanderbilt.
Oh, this is like, you want to look at Pavia, like, in the middle of this podcast, you do know you play for Vanderbilt, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, these words shouldn't be coming out of the mouth of a Vanderbilt quarterback. It's like, did you forget where you're at, bro?
Exactly. So, at the end of the day, if Vanderbilt ever decided to really go all in on sports,
Yes.
there is a lot of money.
We're either going to be looking back down the line years from now, like for this interview where he's claiming all these things and saying either he was an idiot for saying that or he foretold the future of what was coming.
Exactly. He's a genius.
Yes.
All right, let's get one more in here, Dave. Diego Pavia, this is cut 6. What Diego Pavia would do for a national championship?
I'd bite an ear off to win the national championship.
Okay.
All right. Hell yeah.
You would Mike Tyson somebody. Does it matter the ear?
No.
Anybody's ear. You'd bite my ear
Anybody.
off.
Yep.
Would you let somebody bite your ear off for a national
Yes.
title?
Yes. I'd bite ears. I'd let my ear get bit off. I want to win so bad you can bite off my ear. Hey, you got another one.
Yeah, you do.
Come on. Come on. It's not like a nose. You got one. So we decided, so Tyler and I, once we were discussing this morning, we decided, you know what would be a cool little Twitter poll? Here it is. Diego Pavia said he'd let someone bite his ear off if it meant Vanderbilt win a national championship. Would you let someone bite your ear off to ensure the Gamecocks would win a natty? So far, 62% of our folks said no. 38% said yes. We've got some very interesting comments. I've got to clean this up a little bit.
Sure.
You can shave my back, wax my butt, and use me as a surfboard if it meant Carolina win a national championship.
Love that.
So good. A lot of us have said we'd remove a lot worse than just an ear. Evander Holyfield can relate. So right now we have about 90 votes. You still have plenty of time to get in, almost 1,000 views. Would you let someone bite your ear off if it meant South Carolina wins a national championship?
I'd like to think even the nose had to think about it for a second. Like, well, No, I need my ear. But like, it's not a hard no. It's like, well, probably not, but I'll think about it.
All right, we talk a lot of football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors. Our buddy, our on three pal, JD Piquel, talking about Lenore Sellers and his throwing ability. Much to the annoyance of Diego Pavia, probably. We'll get to that next here on the halftime show as we talk football in the 1 o'clock hour on the game. What we're talking about is football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors here on the game. Tyler Head's here. Dave's here. Terry Ford, we go till 3 on the game, then the post-game show with Jay and Elijah. All righty. Let's get cut 7 here, Dave. J.D. Piquel from on 3. I tell you what, there's been a lot of positivity with a lot of guys for Lenora Sellers. Piquel's been one too, man.
I think Piquel talks about him about every single week. He might be number 1 on the Lenore Sellers fan club list.
No doubt. And so here's Piquel giving lots of props to Lenore Sellers' throwing ability. Again, cut 7, Dave.
Look at my guy just spinning the pill like a shady pharmacist. That throw right there. If he makes that throw consistently, Lord have mercy on the rest of college football. One, this is sick, all right? So this is just cool to see your dude throwing it around. I know that there's no defense. I know that he's just taking a drop with a fake rush. I understand all that. So this is cool. This is good for vibes. But if he make throws like we saw him make in that very first clip, and he's able to consistently make the routine throws as well as the big-time throws, that's what you fear if you're the rest of college football, and that's what gives you hope, optimism, and potentially booking some college football playoff tickets if you're a South Carolina fan. Because, I mean, with his ball, with the ball in his hand, Lenore Sellers that is, there is nobody that I trust more in college football to make good things happen when he tucks it and runs. Like, full stop. I've said it before. He gives you that feeling when he decides to go north and south with it that you only got when you were watching some of the greatest players in college football play. That's hyperbolic. It's a big statement. I'm not backing down from that. He's that special, and we saw it multiple times last year. A&M, Clemson, he's ridiculous with the ball in his hand. But if he elevates his game to a point where he's making the off-platform throws, he's rolling to his left and throwing back right downfield, and he's got Nicholas Harbor separating, and he drops it on a dime. If he's able to do that consistently, he's the best player in college football. Full stop. I mean, the guy's like, 6'3", 240, runs like a deer, can throw like that. Who's stopping that?
True.
By the way,
It's true.
spinning the pill like a shady
I
pharmacist.
love that.
I don't know if that's original or not, but that's phenomenal.
That's really good. And so I'm thinking to myself, because, not that I spend a lot of time at pharmacies, I'm trying to picture a shady pharmacist. Most of them kind of look alike.
Dave, where do you get your medicine from?
Well, he gets an alley, a back alley.
I would say, do you have a shady pharmacist that operates out of a van with a dirty white coat?
No. In fact, at my pharmacy,
All the pill bottles are unlabeled.
no, my pharmacy is at Target in Woodhill.
Okay.
And we have a listener there who loves us and asks me.
They're not shady then.
No shady.
No shady.
All right,
Shout
no
out
shady.
shout out to that listener for
That's right.
giving Dave
right.
good wholesome
Not
drugs.
shady stuff.
Not shady stuff.
But it's funny. That was a great analogy, spinning the pill like a shady pharmacist. The thing with Lenore, and we have this conversation, and they put it. Bruce Feldman had it in the post in The Athletic that he has such quick feet. Because
Yes.
what we talked about last year is when you saw him get into the open field and he starts cutting, he doesn't slow down.
Mm-hmm.
He's still accelerating while he's making cuts. A lot of people, when you make a cut, you slow down.
Sure.
He's not slowing down. He's making these cuts at full speed.
Yep.
Which makes him very difficult to stop. And look, we saw a lot of good moments spinning the pill like a shady pharmacist last year. And if he gets more consistent in throwing the football to go with this athletic ability and what he can do in the open field as a runner, he to JD's point, he might be the scariest quarterback in college football.
Yeah, very
Look,
much so.
Arch Manning can run. And we saw Arch Manning's athleticism last year. Arch Manning can't run like this guy.
No.
I mean, we talk about Nussmeier at LSU, and he can throw it all. He can throw all levels of the field. He can't take off like this guy.
No.
And we could go through all these quarterbacks and go, well, he can't do that like Sellers. So if Sellers gets more consistent, and part of that we saw it in the bowl game. Part of it was Illinois had 7 spies at the line of scrimmage. The other part was, Sellers looked like he was really trying to stay in the pocket and make plays instead of just taking off. If he gets to the point where he's in the pocket making throws and tearing up defenses, and when he goes off platform to be able to run, he does this. It's not like he doesn't do this. We've seen him do this, rolling out of the pocket, keeping his head up, and making throws deep down the field.
Yep.
If he continues to do that, if he learns how to slice and dice you from the pocket, to go with what he does when he takes off, how do you stop him is what I'm asking.
Yeah, and then that's what Mike Shula's attention to unlock this upcoming season is that next level as a thrower that will make him more well-rounded, especially if he's going to be going to the NFL a season, from now. Because, again, the running ability is there. And, again, a lot of those plays were when the play broke down, protection wasn't there, and he had to take off and make something happen. Ideally, you want better protection up front to where his great runs come from more structured called plays instead of just, hey, I got no help here. Let me go run and make something happen. And again, keeping those eyes downfield, letting his receivers get open, find some guys for some big gains. That's that next level that, again, we hope to see unlock this upcoming season that makes him that much better of a quarterback.
We are yapping a lot of football in the 1 o'clock hour, sponsored by Atlantic Windows and Doors here on the game. Michigan has added Jake Garcia. Well-traveled quarterback. I think this is Jake's 37th team.
If you count high school and college, yes.
Well, he was the goofy one with the thing with the parents.
Yes, so because he was in California.
Right.
And he transferred to
Georgia, right?
It was in Georgia because where Rush Probst was at. It was it Lowndes? It was one of the schools down there in South Georgia, powerhouse. And his parents had to legally separate in order for him to move to Georgia with his dad. Like, they weren't actually divorced, but on paper they were. It was a weird thing. There was a Netflix series that he was in with this team a couple years ago. It was Valdosta. They were at Valdosta. Duh, what am I thinking? But, yeah, they had to legally separate so he could transfer to a different high school. And then they ruled him ineligible there, and he had to transfer to Buford.
Okay. Here's my thing on that. Son, your mom and I support you and your dreams and your goals. We ain't legally separating so you can play football at some powerhouse in Georgia. There are a lot of powerhouses in California where we don't have to separate.
Here's the thing. Because he committed to Miami, initially went there out of high school.
2 years, right.
He was already committed to Miami. Like, it wasn't like he was trying to get a school to offer him. He was already committed to the school that he ended up going to when this happened. I was like, bro, you got it, man.
Yeah.
You're good.
Well, and this leads to the fact that, okay, was at Miami for 2 years, didn't work out, moved on, went to Missouri, didn't work out, went to East Carolina, started and then got benched, and now he's going to roll off to Michigan, where in a perfect world he never sees the field.
Yeah.
He was a top 25 recruit coming out of high school. But when your parents legally separate to put you at a high school powerhouse,
yes,
so you can work with coaches that are going to help you in college, you have truly got the dictionary definition of everything's about you.
And this constant transferring is just continuing to throw things at the wall, hoping something sticks. Like, it didn't work here. Let me go there. It didn't work here. Let me go there. Thinking at some point it's going to click. It's not.
Now, is that his parents? Is that his people around him? Or is that just him? Is it a combination of everybody? Because Team Garcia, it's not us, it's them.
Sure.
It's not us, it's them. It's not us, it's them.
Honestly, what might have served him better was staying at one place, developing and continuing to improve instead of resetting every single year and you hear quarterback coaches talk about this, like, if a quarterback's changing every single year, you're getting taught different things everywhere you go. So you're relearning things, having to redo things. Like, you're not getting that development that you need if you're a quarterback that clearly needs help.
There's no consistency in learning when the learning changes all the time.
No.
It just isn't. And the other part of this is, again, if you stay somewhere and you learn from one person or a group of people, and you also learn how to fight through some things. And look, if you transfer, you transfer. I get that.
Sure.
A lot of guys transfer now. And I'm not against it at all. But when you do this is a lack of any kind of grind, right?
Yeah, yes.
Not getting my way, time to go. Oh, not getting what I want, time to go. That's where the line gets really blurry on transferring.
Yep.
And when we know that this kid, transferred in high school and his parents decided they were going to legally separate to help him go to a high school that he wanted to go to, or somebody said he should go there, and he was already committed to Miami, please. One last point to this. There are folks saying, well, you're bringing in Garcia. You already have Mikey Keene, who was at Fresno State. Davis Warren come off an injury, who was there last year. The Jaden Davis dude we talked about.
Yep.
It feels like everybody's, there's words Bryce Underwood isn't looking like all that so far. No, what you're doing is this. If Bryce Underwood is ready to go, he's ready to go. But if not, you're trying to add some plan Bs and Cs and Ds.
Yes, because last year they had nothing.
Right, you had plan Z, and look what it did. All right, Firehouse Sub text the hour next, 803-404-6100 on the halftime show on the game. All right, grab our Firehouse sub, text the hour, 803-404-6100.
In reference to our question of would you be willing to have someone bite your ear off for South Carolina to win a national championship in football here. Russell in South Texas says, I'm 67, practically deaf, so losing ear wouldn't be that bad. So, that's nothing to him. Take it.
Russell.
Go for it.
I love you, Russell. That's a great answer. Dude, I'm old and deaf.
So,
Take an ear.
and I got this from when I was working in Athens, and funny enough, it was on this day 6 years ago. We posed the question to our audience in a Twitter poll, and I wasn't on the show that day, but our morning show somehow got down the path of would you take a non-lethal gunshot wound to the leg if it meant that Georgia would win a national championship? Like half people said yes. And 2 years later, it happened.
Well, the funny thing is, what makes me laugh is you showed me the poll.
Yes.
And it was like 46% were like, yeah.
Yeah, like 8,000 people voted on this, by the way.
And the flip side of it here, and ours is early. It's still got a long way to go. But ours, about 100 votes in, is like 32% are like, sure, I'll lose an ear. And 68% are, what are you, insane? I'm not going to lose my bleeping ear.
You have to seriously consider it. Like, well, do I need that ear? Again, Russell's like, I'm half deaf anyway.
I love
What do I
Russell.
need it for?
Don't need it. Can't hear out of it half the time.
That is taking one for the team.
Well, speaking of ears, I'll give you one real quick. We got a minute to go. I have a family member of mine, and we were this past weekend, we're doing all the Father's Day stuff. And a family member of mine was around with us saying, yeah, by the way, I was at the ER yesterday. I had, my equilibrium was off, and my head felt blocked up.
Yeah.
They had to drill the wax out of his ear.
Oh, my God.
And we're like, what's up with that? I mean, he goes, well, I don't like putting stuff in my ear, so I never Q-tip my ear. It's like, when's the last time you cleaned your ear?
They pull out a block that long?
It took hours. They took a drill. They took, you drill with cement?
Yeah.
They took a drill to his ear.
Oh, my God.
He was in the ER for like 2-3 hours. Ooh.
Wow.
Yuck. Ooh. Bleh. That's how much he had built up in his ear.
Did they give him make a candle out of it and send him home? It's wax. It burns.
I mean, think about that for a minute. And then somebody else was going, there's solutions you can pour. And he goes,
Yes, you can.
and he goes, I hate anything in my ear. It's like, so what are you going to do now? He goes, you going to start cleaning them? No.
I mean, I don't like the Q-tip digging around there, but I'll put the drops in there, and it kind of it almost falls out.
It falls out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or like the ear candles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my man puts nothing in there. So that was years of wax buildup.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Oh, sorry, it's lunchtime. I apologize. My bad. Yeah, it takes a lot to gross me out.
Sure.
A ton.
Did he have pictures of it?
No, thank
No.
God. But the first thought of how I felt bad for the person doing that.
Yeah.
You're taking, first of all, I'm picturing you with a pickaxe to start with. Now you got the drill going.
Chiseling away.
It just, ooh, eh. Now I had a buddy of mine who was a dentist. He used to play pickup ball with me. Talking about he had somebody come in who had never flossed their teeth.
Sweet Jesus.
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Imagine what he found.
Yes. So I thought.
You got a whole chicken tender in here, man.
Not good.
That's from 8th grade.
Not good. All right. Elijah's going to pop in for me. I got to go do corporate radio stuff. Tyler, Elijah, David Dare, final hour of the halftime show coming up next. What's trending at 2 on the way on the game?
Welcome back in. Halftime show. Tyler Head, Terry Ford off to do that other job that he says he does. Allegedly is the PD. Some business to tend to with that. So Elijah Campbell hanging out for the next hour, previewing the post-game show coming up 3 o'clock. It is time for What's Trending at 2, and I guess the trending news is your injury to your hamstring that you've got iced up once again today.
Yep, got to come in here for those who are watching on the YouTube stream. Yep, we got it's the icing period right now. Ice for 20 minutes, put it back in the freezer. Wait about an hour or so, ice it again for another 20 minutes. I've got a pretty consistent thing going on here.
When you were like a kid, maybe even into like your teenage years, when you're running around playing sports, being active and all this kind of stuff, and you always wonder like, you know, why is dad like so slow getting out of his chair? Why can't he run with me or do these kind of things? Now you're learning why. You're like, I'm 30 and I just popped my hamstring playing softball.
Yeah, the first like league I joined after turning 30, and I'm not even 2 full games in, and I popped my hamstring rounding second base.
Was that the sign?
It was embarrassing.
Was that nature telling you like, hey man, might be time to wrap this up?
It was a harsh reality that set in, and considering there's a couple of people on the team that I don't know, but I know they're younger than me.
Sure.
So I'm the only one here, 30 or older.
Yeah.
And I'm the one that ends up hurting myself, rounding second, doing something incredibly routine. It was a pretty abrupt reality that hit me like a ton of bricks, where I'm sitting in the dugout holding my hamstring, like, I might try to come back in the next inning, and I go and start running again, and I don't got it. I ain't got it.
Do they call you Gramps?
They're about to.
Yeah.
They're about to.
All right. Let's get the geezer out of here.
Yeah, let's get the old guy out of the dugout. And it's like, I'm 30, man. Not that old. But I feel it. I feel it every time I get out of bed now.
But like, let's think about it. When you were like 21 or 22, 30 seemed 90 years away, right?
Forever.
It's like,
I feel like that was so far down the road.
I'm never going to get there. I'll never be that guy. Now you're that guy.
I have become that guy. And that's the thing when I played sports, man, like I played basketball all the time.
Sure.
Like, whether it be school ball, AAU, summers we're playing 2, sometimes 3 games a day in that circuit, and I'm never getting hurt. I got really lucky that I never sustained a ton of injuries. No knee injuries. I mean, I sprained an ankle and missed a couple of games once. I had a concussion once after taking what was definitely a moving screen from a player who eventually ended up playing linebacker at Kentucky. Rocked my world, man. But other than that, I got really lucky. I never really sustained injuries that kept me out for a while. Yeah. And then this happens, I can probably make it back for next week's game. And maybe Tony Annan comes in the studio yesterday for our show, and he saw the ice pack, and he asked what happened. And he goes, oh, that's immediately 6 weeks. You felt the pop? That's 6 weeks.
How long is the season for this softball league?
It's about 6 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, Tony was saying I'm out for the year.
You're on the IL, basically.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I can no longer count as a roster spot.
You know what? You've just become a coach, is what you've become.
Glorified, yeah.
Yes.
And I was like, I need to message someone from the league, like, hey, is it cool if I'm a designated pitcher, if I can at least do that? I paid $65 for this league, man.
Listen,
I need to get my money's worth.
I said it earlier. Kirk Gibson, man, go up there and just hit home runs.
I hit home runs. It don't matter how fast I get around those bases.
You know what? Even if you hit a dribbler out into the right field, they might still have a chance to throw you out.
They do. They do. And I will one-legged hop all the way down that first baseline because I am not breaking a sprint right now.
Maybe they'll feel sorry for you. It's like, man, he's trying. I'll let him get on.
They use my, instead of batting average, it's just my expected batting average. So, that was a really good hit. We expected you to get to second, so we'll move you to second.
You can be the guy that keeps the book. How about that?
Or if we can just have a designated runner for me, so when to stand at home plate, I hit the ball, you run for me.
Like when you're playing baseball as a kid, and the coach was up there with the fungo, and they had one of the guys in your team as the runner. He said, all right, boom, hits it, guy takes off running, because coach isn't going to do that himself.
No.
That's what you need.
Because coach is probably around my age, and they're the ones pulling hamstrings when running the bases. So that's why they had somebody else do it for them. I think I need that.
I think you need to lean into the coach thing. If you can't play, you need to just go full coach mode.
Full on.
Yes.
Full on coach.
Like rock the ice pack, rock the knee. I had a coach that had a knee brace at one point.
Oh, yeah.
He's not doing anything athletic, but he's wearing a knee brace.
Or you see those pictures of Kobe Bryant, in his later years in his career, where he looks like the Michelin Man because he's got all those ice packs around his legs and his arms afterwards. Looks like either the Michelin Man or the kid from, it's escaping right now, the Little Giants. He's walking out there, he's got all those pads on or whatever.
So ice pack, get yourself a bag of sunflower seeds, Pit Viper sunglasses,
Pit Viper sunglasses,
and just start coaching the team.
I have to at that point. That's going to become my fate because you know what? I paid the fee for the league. I got the shirt.
I'm getting my $65 out of this.
$65 worth. Yeah. I want a part. I want a hand in what we're doing here for the mozzarella mashers.
Oh, Elijah's injury is part of what's turning it to. But what's also turning it to, yesterday we learned the home and away opponents for South Carolina women's basketball for this upcoming season. Your home and away will be Alabama this year. You'll play at home Texas, Tennessee, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, Georgia, Missouri. You also have the caveat of playing Texas in a non-conference game, too, which that is a thing, but only one of those games is going to count towards the league.
Stupid. Always the dumbest thing in sports. It's one of those things, man, where, yes, I know what you're trying to do, but if a conference team plays another conference team, that should count as a conference game. It counts for your regular record.
Was it Wake Forest and Virginia that did that a couple years ago? And I think North Carolina did it with somebody, too.
And because here's why that scenario is so dumb. Let's just use that, what was it, Virginia Wake Forest example. Let's say that year both teams just so happen to be good at the same time. I know, far-fetched, but this is a hypothetical for a reason. They're both good at the same time. And let's say they're both 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 in the ACC. And whoever number 2 is gets to be a participant in the conference title game. Let's say Wake Forest beats Virginia.
Sure.
But whatever tiebreaker they use, Virginia gets in over Wake Forest. Well, that's BS, man. We saw them play on the field and Wake Forest won.
Yep.
We all saw that with our own 2 eyes.
Yep.
Very well documented. It was on television.
Because
I believe the CW.
I believe that was the caveat is they didn't play each other in a conference game. So it was literally a 9th game that wouldn't count towards the conference standings. At least with this, you still have a game against Texas in the regular conference season that counts towards their overall standings. Because could you imagine if they didn't have a conference game schedule and we're splitting hairs once again? We're flipping coins on TV, which thankfully Greg Sankey said we're not going to do that ever again.
It took having to flip a coin on TV to have a little bit of foresight into something very predictable happening.
Watching that happen, you could tell how embarrassed he was.
Yeah,
I can't believe I'm having to do this on national television.
I'm doing practice coin flips in front of a camera right now to decide who's the 1 seed in my tournament.
But we knew, when they laid out the criteria, it was 3 things. We're like, well, I could really see that happening and getting to the coin flip. We're like, men's was 5 or 6. Football was 8.
Football is like a 35-page PDF that was sent out at the beginning of the season to determine what the tiebreakers were going to be, and it had every single scenario known to man thought of in it.
You need a lawyer to help understand all the ones in football because it's that deep. And basketball is after conference record, we'll just flip a coin, whatever.
Whatever happens, happens. Yeah. This isn't going to happen. We're not going to need this. False. You always do.
We're glad South Carolina won, but I even came away from that. I never want to see that again.
No.
You are the best league in women's basketball. You're the best at everything, pretty much. Never do this again. No. That's embarrassing.
You're beyond this. You make so much money, and you have so many employees, and you have so many brain trusts behind how you run everything in your league. You cannot have just 3 different tiebreaker things. You have to have something that includes what happened on the floor. And this is your responsibility now because you're you're the ones who decided, you and your member schools decided to bring in Texas and Oklahoma and further bloat the league.
Yep.
The Big Ten has the same issue. You bloated the league. Not everybody can see everybody on a fair occurrence, right? In basketball, the best thing about college basketball for a while was that everybody could round robin their regular season.
Sure.
And you rarely ever had to go deep into the archives of your tiebreaker system to determine what your seeding was because everybody played each other twice.
Yep.
You don't have that anymore. Yeah, I mean, now you'll see everybody once, and in women's basketball, you only have 1 team you see on multiple occasions.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to have a little bit of foresight to think that something like this was going to happen.
So that's
silly.
That Texas game that counts towards the conference will be the toughest home game that they have, goes without saying. Once again, looks like the toughest road game is going to be that trip to Baton Rouge, taking on LSU. They'll also go to Auburn, Arkansas, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and Kentucky as well.
Yeah, that's really bummed out. The LSU, they didn't get a home and home with LSU, and I understand what they're trying to do. They gave LSU Texas, it's going to be good.
Now
those two playing each other twice, but man,
assuming the conference doesn't expand anymore, do we have to wait 15 years to get a home and away with LSU? Because I'm assuming it's just going to change every single year until you get back to 0, right?
Exactly. And this would have been the perfect year to pair LSU and South Carolina because of the Malaysia Fulwiley factor. She's one of the biggest stars in the game.
Sure.
She's one of the biggest names. I mean, how many other women's college basketball players have their own shoe by Under Armour, right?
Yeah.
And
Can she still have that being at LSU? Do we know?
Ooh, I'm not 100% sure.
Because that's a Nike school.
It's a Nike school, and I know they're pretty strict about a lot of that.
Yeah.
Maybe this would be considered,
like a grandfathered in thing, like, hey, I already got the agreement.
Some extenuating circumstance that will allow her to do it, but maybe whenever they play their first game, I'll be watching, not to see if LSU wins, because they're going to play Nickel State or somebody like that. But
seeing what she's got on her feet.
But I want to see what she's got on her feet. Yeah, what LSU will allow her to wear.
Because I feel it like in football and baseball, the cleats, they can be kind of lenient on what the brand of the cleat is, but
yeah, they become more lenient over the years.
But I feel like basketball with shoes, because again, the brands are so tied to their shoes.
Yes.
Because again, you can sell them as sneakers too. Obviously, I feel like that may be something that's not as easy to flex.
I mean, that was the whole crux of the federal investigation behind shoe companies dropping bags for players to go to schools that represent their brand.
Sure.
Right? Like we had coaches wiretapped. Will Wade was wiretapped by the FBI because he was working with Nike reps to be able to get kids to his school. I mean,
strong bleep offer.
Yeah, a strong bleep offer for Javonte Smart, because Nike wanted to get him to a Nike school, and Will Wade wanted that Nike player.
By the way, as Will Wade now reascends the coaching ranks in college basketball, the whole it's legal now is like the perfect defense, right?
It is. Yeah. I mean, again, it wasn't legal then, but that's the perfect shield NC State could use to hire him back, right?
Yeah.
Because the stuff he got in trouble for is legal now. And he paid his punishment. He served his time, man.
He did. And again, he's a good basketball coach, so he's obviously done well.
Yeah.
Being away from the power ranks and got his way back. Yeah. And again, it's like, hey, well, now he can legally do that.
And, dude, they're dangerous. NC State's got themselves quite the roster. I wouldn't be surprised if NC State wins the ACC this year.
I saw somebody say on Twitter the other day, I'll get your thoughts on this real quick, NC State missing this year was more impactful than making the Final Four run the year before.
Absolutely. Because here's the thing. I think Kevin Keatts is a solid coach. He's not the type of coach that will get NC State to where they're consistently contending for ACC titles. Because remember, when they made that run to the Final Four, they had to win the ACC tournament or else they were not getting in.
Yeah, and backs up against the wall.
Classic NC State fashion, ends up winning 5 games in 5 days. They had to play one of the Wednesday games. They played on conference tournament Wednesday to get in.
And if they get bounced on that Wednesday, he maybe gets fired then.
Yeah, if Virginia doesn't foul a three-point shooter, they don't get there.
Yeah.
And he gets fired that year.
That run was crazy.
He earned that year because they end up making the Final Four.
It's like you can't fire the guy after taking your team to the Final Four.
Yeah,
but
no one does that.
I think everybody was like, okay, that was fun, but unless you can back that up this year, you're gone.
We're keeping that in the back pocket. Yeah, don't think you're safe, man.
Yes.
Because they were still a really bad regular season team that year, and they just they won 5 games in 5 days, and then won 4 to get to the NCAA or the Final Four. So they won 9 straight games. They had a 9-game stretch where they were otherworldly.
DJ Burns became America's favorite player for a couple weeks. Like it was great, but I think we all knew, like, all right, this is cute. But unless you can back this up next year, he's probably gone.
This is cute, but not replicable. And that was the moral of the story.
I'll continue on with what's trending at 2. Do we finally have an answer on the college football playoff? Doesn't seem likely. Let's hear what Paul Feinbaum had to say about that the other day as well as the halftime show rolls on. Tyler Head, Elijah Campbell, Captain Dave on your Wednesday on The Game. Welcome back in, halftime show. Tyler, Elijah, Captain Dave, along with you on your Wednesday. Continuing on with what's trending at 2. You know, how many times have conference commissioners, the powers that be in college football, had meetings to discuss the future of college football and the college football playoff format in like the past 6 months?
That's all they do. I feel like that's their job is meetings. Their job description just says meetings.
And it's at a different, like, this week they're in New Orleans, this week they're in Dallas. They're just they're going on a sightseeing tour, having meetings.
They're paid vacationers.
It really is.
At this point. But there's no money. We can't handle having all these sports with the House settlement. We can't do it. We can't handle having all these sports. Too expensive. This is going to bankrupt us, but we are going to send all of our ADs to 5 different destination cities and very nice hotels to have meetings that are not productive.
And for a while, because we know with the new television deal and all that kind of stuff, the Big Ten and the SEC wield most of the power when it comes to deciding the format of the college football playoff. And for a while, it seemed like they were both on the same page with, hey, let's do this 4 + 4 + 2 + 2 + 1 model, you know, with either 14 or 16 teams, whatever it may be. It seemed like they were in agreement, so we're heading down that path. When the SEC was like, okay, actually, wait a minute. We kind of like the 5 and 11 model better, but the Big Ten staying true on the 4 + 4 + all that other stuff. So we're kind of at an impasse here. Brett McMurphy of the Action Network tweets out last night, conference commissioners have decided to start over on determining the 2026 college football playoff format. Big Ten and SEC initially wanted the 4 AQs to add the ACC and the Big 12 with 2. However, the ACC and the Big 12 pushed back. SEC later publicly did not support the 4 AQ, going for the 5 and 11 and a large 16-team playoff format to essentially get more teams in. SC wanted more value given the strength of schedule metrics, something the college football playoff executives discussed in today's meetings. However, a source cautioned even if strength of schedule is supposed to carry more weight, it still boils down to their opinions on who they think the best team is. The deadline is still December 1st. So we're back at square one. We've accomplished nothing. Nothing at all. And they have 6 months to figure this out.
I mean, at this point, just go with the best 16 teams. Go with the best 16. At this point, if you just go with the best 16 and you give one auto bid for the highest ranked G6 school, which I think should still be done, then at that point, if you're not a top 15 team, can you really complain about not being in the college football playoff?
You shouldn't.
You can't cry about your strength of schedule because you just didn't win enough games with that schedule to get in. I'm sorry at that point. If it's an 8-4 team, I'm sorry. You had opportunities to separate yourself and you didn't do it.
Because like last year, at least when we had the 4-team playoff, and there wasn't a ton of controversy outside of the final year, obviously, but we were splitting hairs between teams that are undefeated and teams with 1 loss. Again, very, very small flaws in the resume. Last year, Alabama was making an argument to be in with 3 losses on the season, one of them to a very bad Oklahoma team at the end and a Vanderbilt team that was 500. You know what I mean? Like, you're becoming more and more flawed. And as we go out to 16, like I said, 17, 18, 19, you're talking about 4 lost teams. You're talking about teams that may have lost the last 4 games of their regular season, saying, hey, wait a minute, we should be in. Like, no, you shouldn't. Right. It's becoming harder to make these arguments, just like we do in basketball. With the 64 team, 68 when you count play-in games, team tournament, team 69 is upset. Team 70 is upset. It's like, hey, don't lose half your conference games, and maybe we'd let you in.
Or don't lose to some A-Sun team in November or December, right? Or don't have a couple of embarrassing losses. Like, there's things that you could have done to avoid it.
See these things we call quad ones? Don't lose more than half of them.
Yes.
And you're
don't
fine.
lose any in quad 3 or quad 4.
Yes.
You'll have nothing to worry about. Win the games you should win. You'll have nothing to worry about.
But it goes back to this argument, and we talked about this a lot when the SEC meetings were going on the other week. In Destin, every conference looks out for their own self-interest. There is nobody in the SEC or the Big Ten or the ACC or the Big 12 that says, hey, you know what, at least for the people with decision-making power, we need to do what's best for college football because it's all about making the most money for your own conference, which, again, is why at the time the leagues, the SEC and the Big Ten, wanted the 4 AQs because that guarantees us 4 spots. And, fine, we can include these other conferences. They'll be lucky to be in here anyway, whatever. But the SEC is like, wait a minute. I think we can get way more than those 4 teams in. Let's open this up to more at-large bids where, yes, my champion gets in, but I can get like 6 teams in this thing if we're good enough.
Absolutely. I mean, and think about it. If we had that model this past year, Ole Miss is in, Alabama's in, South Carolina's in.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
And then instead of having the 3 teams that you had in,
6.
you have 6. You have 6 of the 16.
Sure.
You can't complain about that. Like that would be a win, which is why I thought, if you have auto bids, you kind of handicap yourself to what you can get, right? Or you're handcuffed to the idea of just getting 4. Because look, when you get in those meeting rooms and you have 4 auto bids, the committee's not going to want, with those last 3 at-larges, they're not going to want to put a Big Ten or SEC team in because you already got 4. You already were handed 4 without having to win approval over a committee. So really, this was the better idea. A 5+11 was a better idea all along. In a straight 1-16 with maybe 1 bid given to the highest ranked G6. Those are the simplest solutions, and those are the ones that would have actually benefited you instead of putting out a proposed system that rewards you with 4 automatically, despite knowing how good anybody is in your league when the season starts.
And I can support the pushback with the SEC of wanting strength of schedule to matter more. And okay, we can go back and forth between the Big Ten and the SEC, but those 2 conferences, it is harder to play in them than playing the ACC, playing the Big 12, or any Group 5 conference. That goes without saying, and that should hold a lot of value when it comes to determining who gets in and who gets left out. That being said, and my one thing, if we did go to the all AQ model across the board, my one positive was that would have at least taken the committee's power away in a lot of ways, because instead of a group of people deciding who's in and who's out, it's decided on the field, decided between conference standings and all that kind of stuff, where it's very straightforward. You know what you need to do to get in, get above this line of your conference, and you're good. That being said, it seems like the committee's not going to go away. I at least want, at some point, to lay out the criteria, saying, okay, give us a pie chart, right? And I get it. It's probably going to change every single year because you have different people in the committee that come and go. But like this year, hey, strength of schedule is 40% of our value. Strength of, game control, eye test, 20, 15, whatever. Lay it out for us. Because I feel like every single week, and this is a TV show at the end of the day, where, the committee chair gets up there and gives us a word salad that doesn't tell us anything about why they chose the teams they chose for the spots they're in, but just give us something specific. Says this year we value this metric more than anything else, and this one's next, this one's next, this one next, so you can kind of figure out in your own way, like, all right, well, it said strength of schedule matters a lot, so this team's got a really good strength of schedule despite the fact they have 2 losses, and you can almost kind of figure it out for yourself. Like, we want transparency.
And that's really, at the end of the day, all it's going to kill a lot of the discourse is if you're able to back up a lot of things with, SP plus, right? Like Bill Connolly's SP plus. That is the closest thing, I guess, to a catch-all that we can get to where we can use things like that are concocted by really smart people who study the metrics of this.
That's the most frustrating thing when watching the reveal shows on a Tuesday night. Okay, hey, wow, I can't believe you guys put this team above that team. And Ward Manuel was the guy last year. And he's like, well, we just watched the games, and we just really think they're a good team. That tells me nothing.
It tells you nothing. Anybody can do that.
Anybody can do that. What makes you qualify? We put you in the highest position of power to determine our postseason. We watch the games and think they're good is not a legitimate answer as to why they're ranked above another team.
It's. I know people like to rip on analytics in terms of how they're used in sports, but you can easily do the inverse and rip the eye test, right? The eye test told me Ben McLemore was going to be an all-NBA player when he came out of Kansas. But there's things that he couldn't do on the floor that you don't see because you're so blinded by the awe of his athleticism and how he looked. He looked the part. But he wasn't a great basketball player, especially at that next level. And there's so many examples. Jamarcus Russell, a guy passes the eye test. He looks the part. Well, there are other underlying issues there with him that didn't make him suitable to end up taking the next step.
And if you pile on enough statistics to support something, you'll shut a lot of people up. It's like, hey, here's 5 data points that we use that said why Team A is better than Team B. Okay, that's fine with me. But it's like, we just think they're better. Why? What about them makes them better? Give me something more than that.
That's why I love, like, the NCAA basketball tournament, men's and women's, at the end of, the bubble teams, you can always say, well, they had like 7 quad 1 wins. That's great. That should, if they're compared to a team that has 3 and significantly more losses in the quad 1, then that gives you an idea of exactly how well they managed a hard schedule. And if a team didn't have a hard schedule, how did you do in your quad 1 games? We can use winning percentage to really determine that, right? Like the Mountain West, those teams don't play more than maybe 11 or 12 quad 1 games in a season.
Right.
But if, say, Colorado State's 8-4 in those, I think, they made their case. They belong in the NCAA tournament. But if a Fresno State is, 3-9 in them, then yeah, you have a really good excuse to boot them out because their conference didn't provide them a ton of opportunity, but they didn't take advantage of the opportunities given. Like there's room for nuance here.
Yeah. So I don't know. We'll get a solution at some point, but
eventually
it ain't happening next week. And they'll continue to meet plenty and accomplish nothing in the process because, that's just kind of what they do. We'll hit what's the greatest day in the history of the world. Coming up next is June the 18th. Also give you an update what's going on out in Omaha with the Men's College World Series. The halftime show rolls along here on The Game. Welcome back into the halftime show. Tyler, Elijah, Captain Dave hanging out with you on your Wednesday here on the game. We'll get to greatest day in the history of the world here in just a moment, but got to give an update to what's going on in Omaha. Game still in the bottom of the first. No outs. Coastal up 5-0 already on Louisville in a game. So Louisville has to beat them twice.
Yep.
Because Coastal wins today. They're automatically in the championship series coming up this weekend, where Louisville must beat them today and tomorrow to keep their hopes alive.
And it doesn't look like that's happening. They finally got an out. They finally got a strikeout. But 5 runs, a runner on second, 1 out. Coastal might be coasting in this game. And look, with UCLA losing twice yesterday, Coastal Carolina, the only team remaining in this tournament that has yet to lose a game.
That is true. By the way, it's not like Coastal Carolina has, the best pitching staff maybe in the entire tournament still left standing that Louisville has to deal with today.
And they haven't had to tap into anybody.
They haven't had to,
they've barely stressed their bullpen.
Been off since, Sunday?
Yeah.
They've got 3 days. That was my concern. Terry and I talked about this earlier. Like, okay, you've been off for a couple days. Maybe you're a little bit rusty coming out of the gate. Obviously not.
Yeah, they dispelled that one pretty quickly.
I don't want to give the classic announcer's curse as here comes the 6th run across the plate.
Oh my God!
I like Coastal's chances right now.
You know what? I do too. I feel pretty good about it. We for the most part, Tyler dodged on what was that Monday?
Yes.
The announcer's curse, because Jay and I kind of simultaneously noticed that Wood was perfect through 5.
Yep.
Gage Wood had a perfect game going through 5. We kind of discovered at the same time, we're like, yeah, I don't think he's given up a hit. And we look at the box score and we're like, there are no errors. He hasn't given up a walk. He hasn't hit anybody. And we're actively talking about a perfect game on air for 3 innings until he finally hits the batter in the foot. But then we're like, okay, when was the last time there was a no-hitter in College World Series history? He's still got that going.
Yep.
And to watch that unfold on air was a lot of fun. But we didn't jinx the no-hitter.
Didn't jinx the no-hitter. Watching that here, because, again, the game started at 2, and Terry and I are doing the last hour of the show. And, again, when you're doing a show, you're kind of glancing up. You're not really actively watching every single pitch. And I noticed, I was like, man, they really threw through those first 3 innings pretty quickly. I just figured both pitchers are doing pretty good. I didn't realize until I got home, like the 6th or 7th inning, I'm like, oh, this guy's cooking, at that time, a perfect game until he hit the guy in the 8th inning. And,
19 strikeouts, too,
my thing is, I said this the other day, I don't care who the team is. I'm always going to cheer for a no-hitter. That is a significant accomplishment that I think everybody dreams of doing themselves. So if you can live vicariously through somebody else doing it, you're going to cheer for it.
I don't care if it's Arkansas, LSU, whoever, man. I would love to see a no-hitter in the College World Series, especially considering the last time it was done.
1960.
1960.
Dave would have been the only person at this station alive. Am I correct on that when that happened?
Yeah, that is correct.
Did you see it? Did you witness the 1960 College World Series no-hitter that was thrown?
I might have on black and white TV with.
I'd be willing to bet. I don't think the College World Series is getting shown on TV back then.
Yeah, I don't think it was.
I don't believe so.
I don't think so. Yeah, before this event was big enough to be televised. This is obviously about almost 20 years before ESPN was even a thing.
Yes.
So, this is the first time that ESPN's ever broadcasted a College World Series no-hitter. It was fun history that was made.
Maybe my dad read it to me in the newspaper 3 days later.
There you go. Maybe so.
A College World Series no-hitter was thrown 3 days ago. Woo!
It is time to get to the greatest day in the history of the world, which today is June the 18th. We'll start off old school. 1938, Babe Ruth is signed as a coach for the Brooklyn Dodgers for the remainder of the season. I believe he was a base coach, actually.
Okay.
He was paid $15,000 to serve as this coach. Do you want to take a guess at what that's worth in today's money?
$85,000.
$341,000. Actually,
not bad.
It's pretty decent increase there.
Yeah.
Just kind of reading here. He apparently hoped for a managerial spot, but they really kind of hired him symbolically more than anything. I was like, hey, Babe Ruth is our base coach.
They're trying to sell tickets to those games.
So you can sit there and look at him, I guess.
I'm not going to lie, though, that there is an appeal to that, because I remember when Ryan Sandberg became the manager for the Tennessee Smokies, my dad, who would take us to Chattanooga Lookouts games all the time. One summer, really wanted to start going the other part of East Tennessee and going to Knoxville or Kodak for games because he wanted to see Ryan Sandberg in person. That was one of his favorite third basemen growing up. He wanted to see Ryan Sandberg coach a baseball team.
Yeah,
There was a draw to it.
Think about it. I mean, God, when Steve Spurrier was in the AAF with the Orlando Apollos, I guarantee you there was at least some people like, I want to go see Spurrier coach a game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
there's appeal to it.
You know, that
sells tickets.
When the season ended up getting canceled because that dude bought it and canceled it, they technically won the championship.
They did technically win it. They technically won it.
Steve Spurrier had
like, what, 4 games maybe, max?
It was like 3 or 4. Actually, that's the one spring league I actually did take a little bit of time to watch because hey, why not? But yeah, they went like 4 weeks and that dude bought it and they stopped paying people and then just shut it down.
Yeah, it's a good way to have your league breakdown is not paying people. At least the ABA in the 70s, late 60s, early 70s had the idea, say, hey, we're going to sign you to massive contracts, but they're just going to be stretched out over the course of a ton of years.
Yes.
You may never see more than 30% of it.
1973, the NCAA makes urine testing mandatory for participants. God knows what they were getting away with before 1973.
Good Lord. Imagine the drug scandals we could have had in the 60s in college athletics.
Oh, man. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. The things that they could be doing, like, what are they going to do? Can't figure this out.
They're not testing us. Yeah.
As long as I look like I'm okay, they'll never figure me out.
Nebraska football was probably like, man, we're in trouble now.
Dave, what do you think they could have figured out in the 1960s if they were drug testing back then?
Well, there was a guy we talked about threw a perfect game on LSD.
We talked about that
Doc
yesterday.
Ellis? Yeah. Great documentary.
Because LSD makes you hallucinate. You know, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. There's a reason it's called that, and there's a bunch of crazy stuff going on in the song, because apparently that's what it's like when you're tripping like that. To be able to focus enough to throw a no-hitter, that might be one of the most impressive things in sports history.
It is. The story behind that's hilarious because he just didn't think he was going to start that day. I think he had like his days mixed up, and he was in San Diego.
Sit on the bench. He was going to vibe out a little bit, and go into his own little world.
Yeah, he didn't even plan on being at the game, and they called him like, "Hey, you're starting. Where are you?"
Oh, belief! I got to pitch
I
today.
got to go pitch, and then he doesn't know where he's throwing the ball. He just knows he's throwing it, and he's hoping he gets results. I want to get the footage of that full game.
Speaking of LSD, Jay Phillips looks like he's zoning out, looking in through the window at us right now.
I think he might be on it right now.
Yeah.
Him and Doc Ellis hanging out.
He's going to do a show with you out in outer space.
You know what? Be curious to see how that would go. Obviously, we'll never do that because we like our jobs.
Yes,
but
I would not.
If we had a guilt-free day, let's.
For anybody at corporate listening, I was kidding about that. Jay Phillips is clean.
I've got a sports-related to what you're talking about right now.
Okay.
And even Jay Phillips sort of related.
All right, go for it.
Liverpool soccer fans singing this song. And why is that related to today?
Why is that?
It's Paul McCartney's birthday.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
83.
No, wow. How about that?
Knew that.
83.
Paul McCartney, turns 83 today. And that is an early Beatles banger.
Well, that is Sir Paul McCartney.
Sir Paul McCartney.
I get that right.
Yes, he is knighted.
He's been knighted.
He is knighted, like David Beckham.
Yes.
And we're trying to get Tony Annan knighted. That's an effort that we're efforting.
Very cool. Happy birthday,
King
Paul
Charles.
McCartney. Jeez. Man. The legends, they're getting old, man.
Best Beatle? Paul McCartney?
Of course.
I know people have it narrowed down between him and John Lennon, but I would put Paul McCartney one.
I get it. The front man's always going to get more attention, but I'm always going to go with Paul McCartney.
And George Harrison, underrated. Deserves to be in the discussion.
Ringo
Big
Starr,
George
don't forget
Harrison
about him.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah. But 83 years old. How about that? We'll come back. We'll hit our Firehouse Subs text of the hour, and I guess you're doing the handoff today since
That's
you're already
right.
in here.
Already here.
We'll do that coming up next. It's halftime show here in the game. Welcome back in. It is the halftime show. Tyler, Elijah, and Captain Dave wrapping up hour number 3. It is time for our Firehouse Subs text the hour, 803-404-6100. Quick update, Coastal Carolina still up 6-0 now as they enter into the bottom of the second inning. It seems like, unless Louisville just mounts a crazy comeback, they did score 6 runs in that one inning against Arizona the other day.
They did.
Not impossible, but I like Coastal's chances as of right now.
Especially to keep tacking on runs, considering Louisville is going to get at the bottom of the barrel of what they have available in terms of arms.
So Chris weighs in on the Firehouse Subs text line. And he says, when will we be told that Coastal Carolina wouldn't have made the postseason if they played in the SEC? Because it just means more. Thanks in advance. I think we have a hater. This Coastal Carolina team absolutely would have hung it in the SEC.
Yeah, they kicked Auburn's tail.
They did.
Swept them. They took the brooms to Auburn.
Didn't they beat somebody in the regular season, too, at the SEC, if I'm thinking?
They
maybe
swept
not.
Clemson in the regular season.
I get what you're trying to say. When you compare the SEC to the Sun Belt, yes, the SEC is better overall. But this Coastal team like this could absolutely hang in the SEC.
And I think it's one thing people forget about the Sun Belt. Sun Belt is a really good baseball conference. Like, they had 2 teams in their league host regionals.
They did.
Southern Miss hosted as well.
Yeah.
We saw what James Madison did to South Carolina last year. They ended their season.
Sure.
They play really good baseball in the Sun Belt. And Troy is having a really good string of runs, right? Like, they've stringing some really good years together. Skylar Mead's done a fantastic job over at Troy. And with that being said, Coastal Carolina went 26-4 in a good league.
Yes.
I mean, you can even make the argument that's the 3rd best league in America. And they went 26-4. Are they going 26-4 in the SEC? No.
No, nobody does.
Nobody does. But would they have been really competitive? Absolutely. This is a team that is competitive in any league they go into because they are a legitimately a great baseball team.
This Coastal team could have won the SEC. Could have been a top national seed playing in the SEC. That's how good they are. And again, like, it's odd to see that, especially in today's age, from a mid-major, but props to Kevin Schnall. Props what they have built down there and what likely will continue because they've got it rolling.
They do. I mean, look, this type of thing isn't on accident. You don't accidentally get to the College World Series semifinals and be the only team remaining that has not lost in the entire event.
I think, has LSU lost?
They lost to Little Rock.
Oh, you're talking about the entirety of the tournament. Okay,
yeah,
I was like,
the
that's
entire
College World Series.
College World
okay,
Series,
all right, yeah, that's good.
But
Yeah, I mean, and Coastal, it's 25 games in a row. They haven't lost since like April.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
They're on a ridiculous winning streak right now. They are just red hot. There's nobody stopping them right now, man. Like it's a fun run to watch, and it's all 9 guys in the lineup too, man. I mean, look, Wells Sykes the other day as the 9-hole hitter in the Arizona game goes 2 for 4 with multiple RBI. Like, there's not a weak link in that lineup, and the pitching staff is about as reliable as you could possibly have at this point of the season.
Also, Kevin Schnall just looks like a baseball coach. There are certain guys that just have that look. He nails that look.
Oh, the same way, that they're football guys, like PJ Fleck, football guy.
Yes.
Kevin Schnall, baseball guy, baseball coach. He has the look. Looks the part. To keep the theme from earlier this hour.
Like a football coach, bald head, thick neck, strong build. Baseball coach, obviously, kind of that medium build with like either the 5 o'clock shadow or the goatee.
Yep.
Like, that's baseball coach 101.
Always guessing if they have a lip in or not.
Yes, at all
times. Have their Copenhagen.
Yes, definitely drives some form of a Chevrolet or GMC pickup truck.
Absolutely.
Yes.
The most predictable thing at SEC Media Days last year, Tyler, Mike Elko driving a Silverado.
Oh,
the most predictable thing.
That is the most on-brand thing
predictable
I've heard. He looks like that guy.
Absolutely. No,
Absolutely.
it was Texas had this entire, welcoming party for Sark and everybody, and Mike Elko walks in a pickup or drives up in a pickup truck.
Real quick, what's coming up on the postgame show?
Ricky O'Donnell from SB Nation going to join us at 3:30 to discuss his long-form article that he wrote about Colin Murray Boyles and why he's one of the most valuable players in this NBA draft.
Very cool.
Excited to talk to him about that.
We're all off tomorrow for Juneteenth. We'll see you on Friday. This has been the halftime show here on the game.